In this presentation, we will explore family risk factors, behavioural risk factors, personality risk factors, and social effects in relation to being a bully and a victim of bullying. A child that has witnessed or experienced abuse themselves are more likely to bully other children. This is because aggressive, violent, and manipulating behaviours have been modelled for them. When a child is exposed to aggression and violence between parents, they are more likely to learn to believe that is an accepted way to handle conflict, subsequently leading to involvement in both bullying and victimisation issues. Adolescents that come from a family who use physical punishment are more likely to bully than those with families who do not utilise physical punishment. Bose et al. 2009 carried out a longitudinal study and found family actors associated with all groups of children that are involved in bullying. Witnessing domestic violence firsthand by the age of 5 years old has been associated with going on to become a bully. Research shows that children that experience interparental violence are more likely to show physical aggression. This includes bullying behaviours. All of this research evidence has been shown to link to social learning theory and the idea that children perceive the violence as acceptable. The social learning theory would argue that the child would learn the complex behaviours of aggression and violence through observing others and adopting it as their own. In this case, watching violence occur at home inside of the family environment from both parents and siblings. The behaviours imitated could come from all types of media sources, family members, and social agents. For example, parents that use aggressive problem-solving techniques and punishments without knowing so could be providing a demonstration to their own children of how to hurt others. Although modelling can explain the complex behaviours, it does not account for how a person's thoughts and feelings may contribute to this. The humanistic approach would argue that individuals have cognitive control over their own behaviour, and just because someone has experienced violence does not mean that they will have to and will reproduce the behaviour. Research shows that being in a family where parents fight, use drugs, alcohol, and who are physically or sexually abusive is a predictor for both bullying perpetration and victimisation. Therefore, experiencing this behaviour cannot only be an explanation for becoming a perpetrator. Permissive parents are less likely to institute consequences or attempt to stop negative behaviour. This also comes into play within the family. If an individual experiences violence or bullying at the hands of a sibling, they are more likely to carry out this behaviour on somebody else. Therefore, those that bully others are more likely to experience low parent monitoring. It is also reported that students who bully have trouble communicating with their parents. Georgia and Strand-Fiendes 2013 found that while parenting is related to bullying, not all aspects of it do. The results of this study support earlier reports that parent-child conflict is related to a child's aggression towards peers in the school environment. These behaviours include both bullying and victimisation. There is plenty of research evidence that solidifies that parental practices, attitudes, and behaviour at home directly relates to a child's aggressive activity in schools. Tippett and Moog 2014 found that harsh parenting increases the risk of sibling aggression, whilst positive parenting protected against it. The results also show that aggression between siblings is related to involvement in peer bullying. Victimisation by siblings significantly increased the chances of being a victim of peer bullying. Perpetrators of sibling aggression were more likely to be both peer bullies and victims. Although, in contrast to the original idea that permissive parents are more likely to raise bullies, Baldry and Fountain 2000 found that permissive parents raise children who are more likely to be victimised by peers, whereas authoritarian-style parenting is a predictor for bullying behaviours. On the other hand, Miller et al. 2002 found that permissive parents tend to have children with difficulties controlling impulsive aggression. This research evidence supports the argument that permissive parents raise bullies. Healy, Sanders, and Ayer 2013 found that parenting behaviours have been associated with the likelihood of a child becoming a victim of bullying. as well as findings that show types of parenting that have an impact on the development of a child's social competence, emotional control, and friendships. Bowes, Smith, and Binney, 1992, carried out a study on 9 to 11-year-olds using the child's perspectives. They found that victims of bullying indicated having an overprotective family and a very close relation with siblings. Always, 1993, used parental interviews to study parental practices associated with victims of bullying. He found that a weak temperament was a prediction for overprotectiveness from mothers, although another indicator was a father's negativism, which led to the lack of identification with the father, this being a predictor for victimisation. For example, a victim of bullying would be a child with a close and overprotective relationship with his mother, or a child who has a father who is critical and does not act as a role model. The problem with this study is that it only looks at male children, and this therefore does not account for females. Finnegan et al. 1997 found that in the case of females, victimisation is associated with maternal hostility. This was found more so in girls that lacked physical strength. Maternal hostility can lead to problems such as anxiety and depression, which may become apparent to peers and can then lead to bully victimisation. To avoid bully victimisation, parents should encourage child independence and developmental goals.
Jansen, Veenstra, Ormel et al. Found by using the Tracking Adolescents Individual Life Survey, TRAILS, children who are involved in preschool aggressiveness are more likely to become a bully or a bully victim rather than a victim, and they also found that children who have good motor functioning were more likely to be a bully rather than a victim. This is supported through the research that Swartz et al. Carried out in 1997. They found that early behavioural problems predicted later victimisation. The study carried out was a longitudinal study looking at the development of children's aggressive behaviour. The family environments of 2 annual sets of children were looked into the summer before they attended kindergarten. Annual assessments of social and behavioural functioning at school were also taken. The results showed that those who exerted aggressive behaviour had higher exposure to violence and victimisation in the past. Bender and Losel argued that unlike active bullying, victimisation did not predict any antisocial behavioural issues during adulthood. Although Jensen et al.'s findings are supported, the study itself has limitations. Retrospective reports were used. This could perhaps mean that inaccuracies of the memory could have affected the parental reports. Jensen et al. 1997. The fact that the parents were asked to rate their child's early behaviour, this could mean that this could have introduced recall bias. The findings cannot be applied to a wider population either, as only participants from the Netherlands were used. Farrington and Tortofi looked at to what extent self-reported bullying at age 14 predicts later offending and violence. 411 South London males were followed up from the ages of 8 to 10 to ages 48 to 50 using repeated face-to-face interviews and searches of criminal records. The results of their study found that bullying at age 14 predicted violent convictions between ages 15 and 20, self-reported violence at age 15 to 18, low job status at 18, drug use at 27 to 32, and an unsuccessful life at 48. These results held up after controlling for explanatory and behavioural childhood risk factors at age 8 to 10. It was also revealed that 406 males were interviewed at age 14. 71 of them said that they were definitely bullies. Looking at the study carried out by Farrington and Tortofi, there are many limitations in which can be pointed out, which may have affected the results. One of these limitations is the fact that only males were used. These males were only from South London, which also means that the results gathered cannot be generalised to girls nor a wider population. Glenn Waddell used longitudinal data from a cohort of both male and female high school graduates to show how youth with bad attitudes are less likely to be employed 14 years after high school. Self-reports were also used, which could also limit the study. According to Moskowitz, 1986, self-reports leave a lot of room for response biases. This means that people would tend to make themselves look better than what they actually are, which could have perhaps meant that the males in Farrington's and Totofi's study may have done this. The study was also longitudinal. This type of study is time-consuming and very costly. The dropout rate is a lot higher when it comes to longitudinal studies, as people do not want to or cannot complete them. Magnuson and Cassia, 2006. When it comes to the study carried out by Farrington and Totofi, by the time the males were 48, there was a dropout rate of 7%. The 93% of the males who were still alive by this age were interviewed. A study carried out by Nansel Overpeck Haney et al. 2003 found that bullying others and being bullied were constantly related to violent behaviour for both boys and girls. Almost 30% of youth grades 6 through to 10 reported being involved in bullying either as a bully or victim or both. Ringrose and Reynolds 2010 believe that bullying has become a highly visible phenomenon which goes well beyond the cultures of schools or toxic childhoods. Palmer 2006. Bender and Losell 2011 found that most correlations between bullying and antisocial behaviour remained strong when they controlled individual and family risk factors. They did, however, mention how one should not overinterpret the strong correlations between physical bullying and antisocial behaviour. Farrington and Totofi 2011 argued that inclusion of more risk factors could have reduced the predictive validity of bullying. These risk factors could perhaps be individual, for example, your age and gender; family, this could perhaps be whether you're from a typical nuclear family; or even social risk factors, which includes things such as class.
Bullying can also include risk factors regarding an individual's personality. Certain types of personality traits can influence a child to become a bully or put them at higher risk of being bullied. This depends on the traits they possess. There have been numerous studies that have shown that bullying can have many serious consequences for victims. These include low self-esteem, depression and anxiety, as stated by Dow et al. 2006, Kaltiala Haino et al. 1999 and Kodish et al. 2016. Longitudinal studies which have investigated bullying have generated results which have shown that low self-esteem can put children at a higher risk of being victimised. This was found by Salmavarli and Isaacs 2005. Therefore, if a child suffers with low self-esteem issues, this can put them at a higher risk of being bullied compared to an individual with high self-esteem who may not be as easily targeted. Egan and Perry, 1998. To look at this from another perspective, Always 1992 suggested that low self-esteem can almost evoke negative attention in situations from the surroundings of the individuals who suffer from low self-esteem. This can result in being bullied. This, again, means that children who suffer from low self-esteem are put at a higher risk of being victimised. Other researchers have found that low self-esteem and problems with depression can be an issue in which bully perpetrators also suffer from. Kodish et al. 2016 investigated bully victims and also the bully perpetrator and their struggles with mental health issues on both sides. It was found that depression was equally likely to affect both the bullies and the bully victims. Interestingly, individuals who were bullies were found to have a higher prevalence of suicidal ideation. This means that children suffering with mental health issues are not only more at risk of being bullied, but also becoming a bully. To further support these findings, Yen et al. 2014 conducted a study which explored the risks of mental health problems and different types of bullying experiences and involvement. It was found that individuals who had been victims of bullying and had been bully perpetrators all had associations with different types of mental health problems. This also shows that not only the victims of bullying, but the bully perpetrators are at risk when it comes to issues involving mental health and self-esteem. The need for power and control in an individual's life is said to be a risk factor of bullying. Some researchers have suggested bully perpetration could be a result of poor attachment in childhood. This was suggested by Monk, Smith and Swettenham in 2005. This can then lead to self-esteem issues in the future and as a result lead to bullying in order to gain power and control in their lives. This shows that the risk factors of bullying are almost interconnected and happen as a result of each other, as low self-esteem prompts that need for control that the individual may crave. Children needing this power is sometimes down to the traits that they possess. If they do possess a power-seeking trait, this power-hungry aspect of them can lead to bullying. Some children can crave power through bullying in order to feel in control of their lives, control which they may be lacking. This then helps them feel less anxious and more secure, but is also at the expense of the bully victims. This is stated by Bashk and Naff, 1994. Because of this evident power imbalance within bullying, the victim can often feel hopeless, allowing the perpetrator to gain that power. The perpetrator may also be perceived as powerful by peers, boosting their ego and in turn boosting their self-esteem. This was found by Felix, Sharkey, Green, Furlong and Tanagawa 2011. Children who are bullies and have been bullied or are currently being bullied are known as bully victims, and the literature shows that these children have reported to be more aggressive, anxious, very emotional, hyperactive and bad-tempered, as stated by Salmavali and Neiman, 2002. All these traits stated could be risk factors for an individual to become bullied, and this may be the reason why the individuals have suffered some type of bullying. This also means that another risk factor for becoming a bully is having a history with being bullied. A study by Dolmas, Soers and Theriot 2006 studied the different characteristics and experiences of bullying of victims and bully victims. It was found that bully victims were more likely to experience more total bullying compared to non-bullying victims. This shows that bullying and being bullied can become a cycle and often one that is hard for individuals to withdraw from.
The consequences of peer rejection or being bullied can be devastating and severe. Many case studies and cases focus on the consequences of bullying. Always found that boys who were victims of bullying between the ages of 13 and 16 were more likely to show depressive tendencies and lower self-esteem in the future. Adding to this, Hodges and Perry identified factors such as having fewer friends, lower status friends, a certain age group, or certain children with educational needs were more prone to bullying. Bullies tend to pick on people who are different. With the prevalence of childhood obesity rapidly increasing, negative attitudes are more than often reported by peers, while obese and overweight adolescents have reported that they feel that they are more victimised than their average weight peers due to their weight. This type of bullying and victimisation has many forms, such as physical, verbal, or even social exclusion. Effects of this have been associated with bullying, such as anxiety, depressive feelings, isolation, loneliness, and behavioural problems, which ultimately lowers human capital. No education, poor school life, and poor job opportunities, and the increased chance adds to the increasing chance of them dropping out of school. These are just some of the consequences of being bullied. Future researchers may also like to consider examining a particular pattern of strengths and weaknesses in victims of bullying on their mental health compared with a normative sample. Such examination would contribute to the existing literature on promoting resilience in the victim or the person that's been bullying and the maintenance of positive psychological strengths in a person that's been bullied. The most common reason for adolescents and children to be bullied in school or other settings is being overweight and obese. There was a study conducted with normal weight and overweight participants which showed that normal weight participants were less involved in bullying in comparison to people with a normal weight. This current research does support previous research, which found that children and adolescents who are overweight are deemed as different and are more likely to be bullied due to their weight category. However, this isn't the only reason why people are bullied. Potential other reasons for being bullied are sexual orientation, weight, height, ethnicity, social class, religion, and obesity. Other future research could look towards examining those adolescents or people who have been diagnosed with depression or anxiety to determine whether witnessing or being bullied or these type of behaviours has a lesser or greater effect on their current psychological functioning in comparison to those found in previous literature. However, bullying is not bound down to one age group. It is found all over the world or in every country. It's not bound down to a certain age group, gender, or a gender, but is frequent and more than often found in school settings across the world. UK alone has reported over 16,000 people between the ages of 11 that are estimated to be absent from school. A further 78,000 students' grades and performance is known to be affected in school. Due to bullying being the primarily case. Further research could look into possibly increasing the sample size of these studies, or maybe developing a better framework to overcome bullying within the settings so that students can perform better in schools, in opposed to dropping out and not wanting to attend school. Moving on, the effects of bullying on health and on the future are substantial. Self-harm, suicidal feelings, affects quality of sleep. Bogart and colleagues found children who were bullied experience negative physical health in comparison to non-bullied children. Alcohol and drug dependencies in the future were more likely. Victims were more prone to turn to alcohol, cigarettes, inhalants 12 months later. These are the people that have found that children have been bullied. Another study also found that the people that were bullied turned to alcohol and drug abuse only 12 months later. However, due to only children and adolescents being involved in this study, the study can't be generalised through every age group. Further research could look towards broadening this age group as well as looking towards its victimisation in different settings, not only in schools. Finally, it could be also recommended that current problem solving and coping strategies should be focused on. In line with this purpose, it would also be useful to further examine and focus on which age groups are more sensitive to change in well-being and that could best predict changes in other aspects of their life that may occur with more or frequent experiences of victimization. This is some current and future research that is based around bullying. Some further examinations that could be done in adolescents who already suffer from bullying, and some previous research that's also been done, and current strategies and coping mechanisms for future research.
This presentation shows that there are multiple risk factors that can lead to an individual becoming both a perpetrator and a victim of bullying. Although there are many bullying prevention methods, future research could help lead to interventions which will reduce these risk factors and make families and individuals more aware of potential risks that can result in bullying involvement.
Our group focused on bullying, which included critically analysing psychological research and relevant case studies to find out the effects of it and then provide recommendations on strategies and practices to prevent this. We were formed as a group of 4 due to being classmates. We were already familiar with each other's faces. We then selected a leader to make communication smooth and clear between us all. We formed an online document which allowed us to all share work with each other on a weekly basis according to a timeline, which made it work perfectly as we could all go away at work on our piece of research. We all shared our ideas and research via this. We all helped and guided each other and recommended areas of improvement. However, in the beginning, the work had a slight delay due to the figuring out of the assignment. Through this, I have learned that the ignition stages of teamwork is vital for building a solid ground for achievement and success. I feel that I've contributed to my team well by completing my work on time, taking into consideration their opinions and feedbacks, and have cooperated well throughout. Group work has helped me with my time management, communication, and development of my group dynamic awareness, as it has helped me gain a greater understanding of the various situations and factors that are applicable in a group-based study. Overall, I think each of us worked individually but worked well. We played a different positive role in the involvement of our team development, and we all put a lot of effort in to make sure that our work was done and every team member was happy.
Upon reflection of the group task, I feel as though as a team we all pulled together and worked well. At the beginning of the task, we did face the challenge of deciding on a suitable topic that worked well for all of us and delegating the tasks that we felt most comfortable with. After discussing all the topics as a group and deciding an area we felt was most in our interest, the rest of the presentation fell smoothly into place. Personally reflecting on this task, I feel as though this made me realise when carrying out group work, I should use more initiative, and when I feel like I'm struggling, speak to another member of the group for guidance and possible solutions to areas I face. I have also learned that with better organisation, I am able to manage my time more effectively, and in group presentation work, this is a key skill, as working around everyone's schedules can be difficult. This is something we did struggle with, but with compromise and patience, we managed to overcome it.
When it came to working in a group, I feel that collectively the four of us worked very well. The first thing we did was assign each other a category of the main topic we would work on. We did this fairly by letting each other decide what we would feel most comfortable with. Once this had been done, we then went away and began working separately on our assigned area of work. We created a group chat over text message so that if we had any questions or concerns, we could ask each other at any point. We also met up a few times to read over what each of us had and give any suggestions that we thought might improve each other's piece of work. Individually, I found the assignment interesting, however, I felt the process of uploading to YouTube rather time consuming. I feel I would have rather just uploaded it to a Blackboard alone. Group work has helped me when it comes to working in a team and also my communication skills as well as my time management skills.
As a group, I think we excelled when it came to choosing our roles and themes and which topic we were going to use. Also, we excelled when having to actually work together to make sure that we were on track with what we had to do each week. However, when it came to the group meetings, it proved to be harder than we had anticipated because of out-of-class commitments each of us had. This included part-time work, family responsibilities, and just being unwell in general. However, as a group, we managed to put our individual work together and the presentation turned out well in the end. In terms of how I worked within the group, I think that I communicated well with each member and kept up with my personal deadlines. I also think that I've developed my skills in communication as I had to stay connected with all members of the group and talk about how we were going forward with the assignment. Group work has also taught me how to advance my skills in time management due to having to meet deadlines that had an effect on each member. However, I think that I could have made a better effort to attend all group meetings as this would have made the process of the assignment smoother.